to see you. I was watching your hearing this morning, which compared to the secretaries was kind of like an afternoon tea. Everybody was almost getting along. And it was the shortest hearing, I think, in history.
It was very quick. But I was able to answer the questions that they wanted.
Yeah.
I was able to really highlight the great work that the men and women of ICE are doing, and the fact that ICE is totally open to transparency. I know, obviously, Delaney Hall came up. ICE recognizes that there is congressional oversight, but like I said, and when I read them back, the Appropriations Act from 2020, there's specific provisions, and if you do it the right way, present ID, go through screening, there's no problem with that.
Well, the Democrats didn't seem to think that they needed to do that. Listen to this question from Lauren Underwood, Democrat from Illinois. Listen here.
Last week, ICE blocked members of Congress from conducting an unannounced inspection at the Delaney Hall facility in New Jersey. That, too, appears to be in violation of federal law, which clearly states that we have the right to enter ICE facilities even if we show up unannounced.
So was that an unannounced inspection, or was that grandstanding?
You know, it was unannounced, but I would say the way they took it, it was grandstanding. So I did answer the ranking member's question. We didn't block them. They did get a tour. I'm actually pleased to say that one of the members came out and was surprised at how well kept the facility was. But there's a certain section of the statute. We can't have mixed parties. Local officials can't attend. The mayor tried to come in.
Yeah.
They walked in while tailgating another vehicle. That's not the right way to do it. And that's what ICE is saying. We're all about transparency. And we appreciate Secretary Noem today. She was really representing the men and women of ICE. She has our back. The president has our back. All ICE agents and officers ask for it is to be treated with respect and follow the own Appropriations Act that they have from Congress.
I guess the point of having an unannounced inspection, as they characterize it, is that if they were to make a phone call to you and say, we'd like to come over, that you'll get on the stick and you'll clean the whole place up and make it look quite different. It kind of the way they did in El Paso when Joe Biden went down to visit down there, and there was just nothing to see down there. But, I mean, you've had other people go into that facility and say, I mean, how much could you clean up a facility on a moment's notice? But they said it's a good facility, it's cleaner than most high schools that they've been into.
Right, and I was very happy to take Fox on a tour. We took CBS on a tour. And one thing I highlighted before is the fact that in 2014, when the mayor of Newark had first was elected, Delaney Hall was open, and there were already criminal aliens being housed there. And there was no protest, there was no issue under President Obama. Yeah. Now we reopened it, and now we have what we have going on up there right now.
So Congressman LaMonica McIver was one of the people who tried to get into the facility. She may now face federal charges. We don't know if that's going to happen. Again, Hakeem Jeffries is warning against that, as we pointed out with Chad Pergram. But Chad caught up with the Congresswoman earlier in the halls of Congress. Watch this.
Are you worried about being arrested potentially? Excuse me. Are you worried about possible the Speaker has talked about censure of Ms. McIver.
Do you have any response to that?
Well, clearly she didn't want to talk about it. The Secretary, Kristi Noem, says it'll be up to the DOJ whether any charges are filed. But how would you characterize her behavior on that day?
You know, I would say that as an elected official, we would really expect more when they come to do oversight like that. For us, that was definitely a troubling moment, because not only does it put them at harm to have protesters, have the mayor who had already been out there during the week, puts officers and agents on edge. It's a whole officer safety thing. And the way they went about it was totally wrong. And, you know, to the House Minority Leader, he had some comments about our Assistant Secretary for our Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin. She's outstanding. She does great work for us. She does great work for the women of ICE. So it's very disheartening for ICE right now that a lot of political grandstanding is going on based on this event, where all we were trying to do was follow the law that Congress enacted back in 2020.
Yeah, she was here the other day, and then I saw what Hakeem Jeffries said about her. It was pretty unkind, I would say. Some people might say unbecoming. Wanted to talk to you about this big operation in Florida. This is north of Orlando, in a very heavily Republican area around the Villages. And that is that ICE and HSI conducted construction site checks. Here's what HSI Tampa wrote about it. Breaking: HSI Tampa and ERO Miami has arrested more than 24 illegal aliens, some previously deported, at construction sites in Wildwood, Florida, during Worksite enforcement encounters today. The illegal aliens are from Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. So a lot of people in the area applauded what's going on, but then they also asked, well, okay, so you rounded up the illegal aliens. What about the employers who are giving them jobs?
Yeah, John, that's a really big key part of this, because there are so many employers out there that are exploiting migrant work and exploiting those illegal aliens that have come here to the United States to try to have a better life. That's one of the key things that Homeland Security investigation does. It does go after these illegal aliens that are here working, committing tax fraud, identity fraud, but also these American companies that are exploiting these individuals. That's really key for us because we see human trafficking, forced labor. There was a juvenile that was encountered during this raid in Tampa, just south of Tampa, that should have been in school, but they were there working illegally. There was an MS-13 gang member. As the report stated, there are people that have been previously reported and come back. So those are the type of people that I think the American public and the American majority voted for us to do. For so long, Homeland Security investigation and ICE, we've been on the sidelines. We haven't been able to use all our full tools. Under President Trump, Secretary Noem, that's what we're doing. And a key part to keeping the homeland safe is worksite enforcement like this.
Right. And as we know, in the last administration, HHS lost contact with more than 300,000 minors, unaccompanied minors. Nobody knows where they are or what they're doing, but they are certainly ripe for exploitation.
Right, and that's one key part of the initiative on the President Trump's administration. Homeland Security is out every day. We're doing welfare checks on these unaccompanied minors because we know they could be in slave labor, they could be child sex trafficking. We want to ensure that this migrant population that was let in here that really need true protecting, that we're out there trying to locate and rescue as many of these children as we can.
And we appreciate the transparency that you've afforded us here at Fox News, allowing us to go into the Delaney facility. Rachel Campos-Duffy did that, allowing our correspondents on ride-alongs. It's good to be able to get an inside look at what the government's doing.
No, we appreciate it.
Todd, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really
Thanks, appreciate it.
Sandra?
All right, John, grilling season is upon us, and you may have sticker shock at your local meat counter. A fifth-generation cattle rancher is here to explain why beef prices are the highest they have ever been. Plus this.
The fact is,